some of the best professionals in this space. We have one on our panel today. Pam Millardo was a deputy commissioner for wastewater treatment. We stole her from Seattle to come here and work. Right? Everybody right? Yeah. So I felt that if water is life, I could definitely invest and be passionate about finding the best talent to do strategic planning so that the agency was prepared for the future, right? So that's how I got into it. I think I stayed because it was important work, and it is our future. So that's it. Any other questions? Did I answer that okay? You want to be me when you grow up yet? Maybe? Okay, let's keep going. Are we really ready? Because I would have had to do my 30-year history in government, and that might have been a little bit too much. So we are going to officially kick off. So I'll have to, just a second, did we have the live streaming on when I was doing this? Welcome. So welcome. We want to welcome you today, officially welcome you, all of you who are here in the room, and we welcome everyone who's live streaming for this most important and I'm sure going to be interesting program today. So I am your MC. I'm responsible for keeping it moving. I'm in this role today because I support what we're doing here. I believe in water and people working in water and bringing our future leaders, our future talent into this industry so we can sustain excellence into the future. So with that, I am going to introduce Mariela de Carvalho, and she is the head of Culture Affairs and Science Department here. She is our host. Let's give her a shout out.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. My name is Mariela de Carvalho. I'm the head of Cultural Affairs and Science here at the German Consulate General in New York. On behalf of the Consulate General of the Federal Republic of Germany and the German mission to the UN, we are excited to welcome the Gender and Youth Hub and all of you here at the German House. This event is our kickoff to the 2023 UN Water Conference. Germany was one of the first UN member states to take action on managing water, and just last week, the German government introduced a national water strategy. Water is more than essential to our planet and to us. It is crucial that we manage it sustainably. In New York, the German consulate works closely with the New York City as our partner towards the United Nations sustainability goals, including the ones that inspired this event today: gender equality, clean water for all, and ocean protection. It is encouraging and exciting to see so many young faces that are interested in working in our shared commitment to sustainability with water. You have probably heard this so many times, but you are the future of our planet, and it is important that your voices are heard. We encourage all of you to play a role in the protection of our shared communities and of our planet, which starts and ends with the way we manage water. Before I give the floor to Commissioner Mermelstein, I would like to make everyone aware of our next side event during the UN Water Conference, which takes place tomorrow in this same room. It is called Young Water and Sanitation Professionals Shaping the Future, and it includes the premiere of a short film about young professionals from Tanzania and Mali. If you're interested in attending the event, please talk to my colleague Johanna, who's in the back, and there's some more information material on the buffet in the back. And now, let's all have a great event together.
Thank you so much. Without any ado, I'm going to introduce you to Edward Mermelstein. Oh, boy, back up. Edward Mermelstein, our Commissioner, New York City Mayor's Office of International Affairs.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Edward Mermelstein, and I am New York City's Commissioner for International Affairs. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon for this wonderful event, kicking off our activities for the UN Water Conference. This conference is significant because it's the first one in nearly 50 years. Think about that, 50 years. As the host city of the United Nations, our administration is proud to support these important conversations and build strong relationships with the international community. Water is everything. Water is health. Water is security. Water is equity. Unfortunately, around the world and even in the US, access to water is limited. In those circumstances, the people who suffer the most are women, children, and youth. This is why this event is so important. We are bringing the voice of youth and women to the table. We are making sure your voices are heard and your priorities are taken into account by the world leaders. So I encourage you to take advantage of this event and this week to advocate for better water management and accessibility. I would like to thank the government of Germany through its mission and consulate for letting us host our event in this beautiful space. I want to also thank Water for Women for co-hosting this event with us and for all their efforts. Sincere gratitude to Christy. She's sitting right over there. Sincere gratitude to Christy and my team who facilitated this event and has made Junior Ambassadors the program that it is today. Finally, I want to acknowledge all the Junior Ambassadors in this room. We are happy you could make it here today, and I hope you will find this event very valuable. Again, thank you all for the attention and enjoy the rest of this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next, I'm going to introduce to you Alicia Douglas. She is the CEO, founder of Water Rising Institute, and program director, WaterWoman Project. She is our visionary, she is our energy, and we are just delighted to have her leadership.
How are you guys all doing? Is everybody got ants in their pants yet? Okay, all right. So thank you, Diana, for that amazing introduction. As she said, my name is Alicia Douglas. I am the CEO and founder of the Water Rising Institute. I am an environmental entrepreneur. How many of you heard of an environmental entrepreneur before? Okay, so just to let you know, if you just don't want to go the engineering route, y'all can go and become an entrepreneur, all right? We have a lot of problems we've got to solve. So our team, and I just want to say this on the behalf of the Water Rising Institute's board of directors, this amazing group of people who've brought this all together, not just from the City of New York's International Affairs team, but everybody that you're going to be hearing from today. I just want to just personally thank them. And I want to personally thank you for being here tonight or this afternoon so we can actually talk to somebody. So it really kind of helps having a great audience. One of the things I want to share is that our team was birthed out of the Flint, Michigan water crisis. How many of you guys know about Flint, Michigan? All right. So right now, the water industry is at a very early stage of going digital, all right? This is a Whoop. I can't do this at the same time. This is a Whoop, all right? This thing can tell me what my heart rate is. It can tell me what I'm exercising. It can tell me everything. It tells me everything that I'm doing at night, all right? My sleep, all that stuff. So I'm gonna, if it's okay with your guys' teachers, I want you guys to get out your phones right now, okay? I wanna ask you to either ask your Siri or your Android what your water quality is. Just go for it. Do 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 do. What can anybody help me? Can somebody tell me? Can anybody tell me right now, really, what your water quality is? Can anybody tell me that? Did anybody get water quality? Anybody? Anybody? Seriously? Okay, I didn't think so. All right. So if you were to do that again, but we don't have time for that right now, but if you were to do that again, and if you were to ask what your air quality is, guess what? You're going to get it. If you also ask your app where your energy levels are at in your house right now, if you got lights on in your house, some of your phones might be connected with that. My friends, we are here to advance digital technology solutions so we know in real time, all right, for your generation. We can do this. And so I'm really excited you're going to be hearing from some great professionals, this afternoon, and about their stories and about their journey, and then I'll be back up later in a little bit, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to hand it back over to Diana, and here we go.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up is Piper Nguyen, New York City Junior Ambassadors alumna, United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 14, Life Underwater.
Hello. Well, good afternoon, everyone. First off, I want to thank the New York City Mayor's Office for International Affairs, the German House and Water Rising Institute for providing me such an important opportunity. I'd also like to, I'd also like to thank Ms. Christie and my former science teacher, Mr. Pastel, for their introduction to the New York City Junior Ambassadors Program. It is an honor to speak in front of all of you today. My name is Piper Nguyen, and I'm an alum from the NYC Junior Ambassadors Program and a graduate of IS-78Q in Long Island City. I'm originally from Virginia, but I moved here about 10 years ago, so I'd consider myself a New Yorker. And like most New Yorkers, I have a unique story to tell. I participated in the Junior Ambassadors Program back when I was in the 7th grade, which I can't believe is about 2 years ago. Like many youth I see in the audience today, I was a 7th grader like you. Most of my middle school experience was online due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and you can probably imagine how that experience made things a bit harder for us. My program experience was online, and at the beginning we faced some challenges like communication, connection, and in-person experiences. We were told that our class needed to learn about the United Nations and the Sustainable Development Goals. In particular, we were going to learn about Goal 14, which focused on the preservation of our oceans. I was doubtful that our project would be successful because of the multiple challenges of interactions we had on an online setting. I often thought, what on earth does water preservation and oceans have to do with a kid like me at a time like this? The answer then, and the answer is now, everything. As the years progressed, I began to see how such a small idea with our classmates became a larger and loud force of nature. We created our own online platform to bring awareness to the future of water and ocean protection. We learned that we don't only have to wait for large corporations and government to do something. We can take action right here, right now, in our own neighborhoods. We divided ourselves into 6 teams: plastic pickup, awareness, fundraising, social media, art, and website building. We were able to make many accomplishments. For example, we went around our neighborhood and filled up 11 trash bags. We raised over $1,000, created both digital and physical posters, and posted our progress on Instagram. After that, me and a couple of my classmates completed a website to portray everyone's hard work and accomplishments, along with informing our community on how they can help. We also learned about the impact of oceans in other parts of the world, such as our virtual engagement with the ambassador of the Maldives, a part of the world where there is a sense of urgency to keep their oceans clean and safe for their country. I really enjoyed my experience in the program and learned so much about ocean pollution and water conservation. Little did I know that our class website would be later noticed by a popular cruise ship line. Representatives from the cruise ship line invited me and a few other of my alum to visit them, and Mayor Eric Adams was also in the room. I was so surprised to learn that our project was an inspiration to them, that they wanted to hear from us about our ideas to reshape the future of ocean and the world's relationship to water. Fast forward to today, where I stand before you. I am a high school freshman, and I go to Art and Design High School in Manhattan. I'm studying fashion, and I'd like to be one of the top well-known haute couture designers like Christian Dior, Prada, Vivienne Westwood, just to name a few. My experience learning about oceans allowed me to hold a different vantage and learn more about the fashion industry's impact on our oceans. Who here is wearing any sort of denim, jean, shirt? I see a couple of you. Do you know what it's made of? Anyone? No? It's cotton. Cotton is one of the most used fabrics, and it's made of most of the clothes we wear. Do you know how to make them? Do you know how cotton's grown or anything about it per se? Well, they require a lot of water, and the processes to make our clothes require a lot of water. But once they're done, they just throw it away. Fast fashion is known to be wasteful and a big contributor to the water pollution. Although I am just a freshman, I want to hold the big guys accountable for their use of their influential power to make people more aware of water conservation and hopefully influence other designers to make their brands more sustainable and eco-friendly. I also want to spread my message not only to the people and designers of New York, but internationally too. I'm presenting a speech in front of a room filled with important people and kids I want to set an example for. I hope I can participate in many more opportunities, and I'll always help as much as I can. But not just me alone. There needs to be spaces to ensure that young people, especially girls and non-binary folks, are part of the conversation. When you think about it, young girls are critical to the conversation. If the water industry becomes more inclusive of the youth and different genders, it is easier to prioritize the needs and access, use, and benefits for us. Lack of access to clean water and ocean impacts us the most because we have a specific relationship to water. In order for that to happen, youth, women, and non-binary folk need to be in the center of the decision-making table. That is no longer up for negation. We also need to start now and quickly because we are depending on you, adults, to shape our future. I want to conclude my speech with some takeaways and to give to this appointment event today. A call to the young people in the room. I know you might feel like you're young, you can't really do anything, everything is too new for you to even begin to understand. It's also new to me too, and I think for the adults as well. Please continue to stay informed about the impact and basic natural resources we need to survive, like water. Instead of just watching things happen and listening to the news, try to always know how you can be involved. Stand up for what is right and what you believe in. Let your voice be heard. A call to the adults. Listen to the youth and consider other options. Be able to make exceptions and don't follow one certain category and try help make the world a better place. Give the youth more opportunities to speak so you can hear their creative ideas and see how they can help the world. Please also do more to hold yourselves accountable and center those of us at margins of society when thinking about solutions to water. It is not successful if your solutions don't include all of us. In the end, we have some ways to go in order to reach SDG 14, and no matter how long it takes, every move matters. Let's try to maintain the water conservation. Let's remove plastic pollution and make this world better. It's our planet and we need to take care of it. And to the youth in the room, you have a voice. Let it be heard. Don't just watch. Speak up for what is right and make a change. Thank you for listening to this speech and have an amazing day. Thank you.
What a powerful call to action, right? Young folks, you hearing that? Okay, you should be totally inspired. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're moving on to Jessica Colon. She is a Senior Policy Advisor, New York City Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to speak with all of you and just wanted to just say a special thank you to Water Rising and German House for hosting this event, along with the Mayor's Office of International Affairs. I'm with the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice. Am I up there? Yes, I am. I am originally from Brooklyn, New York. Anyone? All right. All right, all right. Okay. I lived in Manhattan for a while, so got any Manhattan? Or, okay, a few, okay. All right. But I love New York City. I've been here my entire life and working for the city for the past 2 decades. I got into climate justice and this line of work after Hurricane Sandy, which occurred just over 10 years ago. At the time, I was in Brooklyn in a community that was devastated by the hurricane, and I knew that we needed to do something in this city to make sure we are resilient to these types of events. So I'm going to speak a little bit about just what the city is doing, why it does what it does, and thinking about water differently, but in terms of our climate change impacts. Right, so at the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice, we are a team of engineers, policy advisors like myself, city planners, architects, and we work to make sure we can create a city where our 8.5 million residents have access to clean air, clean water, green infrastructure, and the resources to build sustainable and resilient cities. We recognize that climate change is real. It affects everyone, but the impacts are not equally shared. There are some people who are more vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, such as children and women. And we must take bold action to ensure that we protect our planet and all of our communities. Regardless of background or circumstance, all New Yorkers deserve a clean environment and opportunities to thrive. So we aim to develop world-leading climate policies with innovation, creativity, and inclusivity to improve quality of life now and into the future for folks that are here now, for you when you're growing up, and future generations. And we want to address the drivers of climate change. We have a fire alarm. And achieve environmentally and economically just outcomes for all New Yorkers. I'm assuming it's just a test. We're good? Okay. Okay, all right, so I can keep going. All right, but you know, it's actually a great metaphor because there is an alarm ringing, right? It's the earth. It's the earth. So that's how. So we need to remember this at all times. So what's happening in New York City, right? We have our climate, and people often get confused between climate and weather. Climate is long-term weather, right? You can think about it. You can think about, let's say, someplace in Northern Africa. It's usually quite warm there, right? Here in the Northeast where we live, we have 4 seasons. It typically doesn't get too hot, too cold, not too wet. So every place looks a little different, and the environment, our natural environment, how the trees look, right, look very different in different places depending where you're at, the homes you live in. We build the natural environment, our environment, and the natural environment evolves for the climate it is in. This usually works out pretty well. But now, because of our impact, our burning of fossil fuels, environmental degradation, we are changing our climate. So that is impacting our natural world and also the built environment here in New York City. So what does that look like for New York City? We are having more coastal storms. They're more frequent, they're more intense, so that's more flooding. With those storms, that can come in the form of coastal surge from the ocean, flooding communities, or from rain. Have you all experienced these very strong, we call them cloudbursts, rain events that are happening recently, which are really unprecedented in a place like New York City? Our summers are much hotter and warmer,
And we're also just dealing with sea level rise. Our oceans are rising. And so even without a storm, just the tides coming in and out, that can cause flooding in our coastal communities. So we need to think about how do we adjust our environment to these climate change impacts. We want to make sure we're doing everything we can to lessen our contribution to these impacts, doing things more sustainably, more green. But climate change is here now, and that was that alarm, right? It's not in the future, it is now. We need to start adapting and thinking about how our communities can become more resilient to these impacts. So all that to say, I know many of you, this is a field you're interested in. You want to learn more, and there are many ways that we can think about how we bring our built and natural environment, how we make them more sustainable and resilient. And I know quite a few of you are from Far Rockaway. From the Rockaways, anyone? Yeah. All right, here we go. So, I mean, we recently did a project out there, a coastal protection project, a brand new boardwalk. Some of you may have seen, but it looks wonderful. It's a beautiful park and beautiful beach, but it's also to protect you from flooding. So that's the kind of work we do amongst many other projects around the city. But there's so much need right now, and there will be for generations to come. This work, it will not end anytime soon, and you all will be dealing with it. We need policy folks like me, lawyers, engineers, we need designers, we need artists to help explain what this is about, and we need as well community advocates to work on the ground with people and get people involved. So really there's so much to do. It's wonderful to speak to you, and I really look forward to participating. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica. That context was so spot on and important. The climate change and the impacts is not a future, it's now, right? So let's get going, folks. Speaking of getting going, I'm going to introduce to you Rebecca Ilunga, Head Adaptation Research and Performance, C40 Cities. That's who you are.
Hi, I'm gonna try to stick to script because otherwise I'm gonna waffle a little bit. So everyone bear with me. Firstly, I'd like to thank our hosts, Water Rising Institute and German House. And then I actually want to thank Jessica for doing an intro to Climate Change 101. It saves me a bit of time. My name is Rebecca Ilunga, and my pronouns are she, her. I come from a paradise city called Cape Town at the southernmost tip of Africa, hence my accent, for those of you that were wondering. I'm a civil engineer by training, but I now specialize in the crossover between cities, climate change, and water management. It still awes me to think that 20 years ago, what I now spend every day doing wasn't a career option marketed to me. I recall my first day of studying, where my lecturer asked me, "Why do you want to be a civil engineer?" And with all the smugness of an 18-year-old, I said, "Because I want to solve problems." My lecturer then said, "So why didn't you become a mathematician?" To this day, that question still prompts me. I thought long and hard about how best to represent the impact that climate change is having on our cities, and how to tell the story of our lived experience of water that would call you to action. I thought of telling you about how the water footprint of your phone is approximately 3,000 gallons, or 12,000 liters of water. Then I thought of telling you about how my paradise city, nearly 5 years ago, completely ran out of water in what has been known as Day Zero, the day when the taps would run dry. And had it not been for all the residents and the sectors coming together, I may have been up here telling you a very different, dire story. But instead, perhaps the word that best frames this narrative is impact. First, the impact climate change is having in our cities. This thought lives rent-free in my mind as I work with cities at a climate change mayoral network called C40 Cities. C40 is a network of some of the 100 largest cities in our world working to deliver the urgent action needed right now to confront the climate crisis. The climate has changed. We are seeing the impact on the water cycle in the world's cities. Warming temperatures have an impact on water in solid form, such as the world's glaciers melting, in liquid form, such as the water bodies, and in gaseous form, in vapor and clouds. We know the rising temperatures affect the balance between these systems, and it is severely disturbed, increasing the intensity and severity of weather events. On one hand, leading to too little water in the form of droughts, on the other hand, leading to too much in the form of floods. The stories of cities' experiences in our work remind us how water is essential to our daily lives. Water restrictions and hazards have direct impacts on the health of people, particularly women and young children. The problem is a global one, but cities are the beating heart of the world. They are homes to the most people, the most complex of infrastructure that our lives depend on. They drive our economies, but it also means they have the most to lose when it comes to climate change and water impacts, such as flooding and drought, making work in this field ever more critical. Second, the impact of taking action in cities. A question we are faced with our mayors and cities is, what are the best solutions that cities are taking? There are several impactful solutions cities are implementing. To address drought, cities are implementing systems to improve efficiency, such as reducing leakages and starting to accurately measure their water usage. To tackle water scarcity, water conservation solutions are being implemented to increase the availability. And to address flooding, cities are developing sustainable urban drainage systems. This includes green infrastructure and flood management. So I can see you looking at me saying, well, why does this all matter? Why should I care about the actions cities are taking to implement water safety? This brings me to my last point, the impact we can have. Since my first day of university, a lot has changed. I now know that I want to be an engineer because I want to solve problems that have people and the environment at the center of their solutions. And what is more central to that than water? So as I come to give you a call to action, I would like you to indulge me for a moment and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Imagine water in your city. It could be rain falling while you stand outside, or perhaps it's an ocean lapping at your bare feet. I often picture a river flowing as I watch it from the banks. Just be there for a moment, without the anxiety that climate-induced water hazards may bring. No impending flood or drought. Now open your eyes. What does creating this reality in our cities really look like? What will it take to make an impact in our cities? To create urban environments that are both resilient and livable? What, as the current generation, must we work towards? And what, as the future generation, should you hope for? What is our role? Is it eating less meat, harvesting rainwater, taking a shorter shower, or committing your career to a worthy cause? There isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, and perhaps that's the beauty of it. Perhaps, like water, we should shape our solutions to the context that we encounter, seeing any obstruction as an opportunity to find innovative ways to address one of the most critical challenges facing our cities today. My call to action for you, for impact, is best summed up in the words of Margaret Atwood. Water does not resist. Water flows. Water is not a solid wall. It will not stop you. But water always goes where it wants to go, and nothing in the end can stand against it. Water is patient. Dripping water wears away stone. Remember that. Remember that you are half water. If you can't go through an obstacle, go around it. Water does. Sometimes a call to action is a raging river. Other times it's a consistent trickle. May you to rise to the occasion as it presents itself. Thank you.
Heard some woohoos in the room. Thank you so much. Oh, boy, I'm touched here. So now we're going to move into a different kind of segment. We are going to transition to a WaterWoman table. What are WaterWoman tables? They're a series of thought leadership conversations to explore how the water sector is currently addressing the current gender gap. Available online at waterrising.org/WaterWoman and on the Water Rising YouTube channel. Water Rising YouTube channel. You can follow up on these. So WaterWoman table, this one, water utilities using smarter tech to address climate change. So this will be a conversation between one former and one current member of the New York City Department of Environmental Protection. We'll start and introduce Pamela Laudo as the former member of that agency, and currently she is Senior Client Advisor, Brown and Caldwell. Joining her will be Reginald Joseph, who is the New York City Department Assistant Commissioner, Department of Environmental Protection, Assistant Commissioner, Digital Transformation, Bureau of Wastewater Treatment. So please come forward. Thank you. Yes, you're turning that mic on.
Does that work? Oh, it works. Cool. All right. So we're going to sit down because this is sitting at a table. And can you? All right. Great. Hey, Reggie. Hello. Nice to see you again. Have a seat, please. Take a microphone. So I'm Pamela Laudo. I'm a former New York City Bureau of Wastewater Treatment. And before I start talking to the gentleman to my right, I'd like to ask some questions. One, who turned on a water tap today and used water? Okay, I'm pretty close to 100%. Who used the toilet today? Some people are not raising their hands. You're supposed to do that every day. And seriously, if you're not using a toilet, then I would go to a doctor because it's part of being human. And I just like to say those two things because it accentuates the value of water. And most people do not know where their water supply comes. It's very healthy, particularly in New York City. And they certainly do not know what happens after they flush their toilet. And both of those things are critical to your survival and to your quality of life, to your health, and the quality that you enjoy every day. And Reginald Joseph here, Mr. Joseph, is a leader and a practitioner in technology associated with water. He's working at the public utility sector and has a lot of interest in water ecology and how to apply technology solutions to face the challenges that we have today and bring us into the future. And there are a lot of challenges. So I could talk for hours about water, and I could talk for 1,000 more hours about wastewater treatment. I want you all to understand the value and understand your career potential in this field. So I want to ask Reginald, Mr. Joseph, what do you think is important for young people today to understand about our industry? And what do you think about water careers and what is available today and what do you think might be available in the future?
Hello. Hi everyone, my name is Reginald Joseph. I am the Assistant Commissioner for Digital Transformation at the New York City Department of Environmental Protection. Now, before I answer Pam's question, I just want to give you a little context. This position is newly created by the current commissioner as an investment in DEP's need for transformation. The understanding that we need technology to advance the wastewater treatment sector to do what we really need to get in the future. They understand the need. Therefore, they're making an investment right now. That being said, to answer Pam's question, it is great to see all of you guys here, and I truly wish when I was growing up, and I grew up in Brooklyn here, I went to high school, college, grad school, all of that here. I never had the opportunity to be where you are, and I'm glad to see all of you. And I commend you for taking the time to be here, to participate in all of this. It will shape your future. Having that level of perspective of how things are, different things, I commend you for being here. Now, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question for me?
Well, so what should these young people know about opportunities in our industry? Like, how do you link an interest in water and your specific skill set?
So, as you guys heard, I am technology. My background is completely, I have a BS in information technology, master's, and so forth. Sorry about that. When you are in technology, it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere. So you're able to branch from one. I've worked in aviation, I've worked at the Metropolitan Opera, then I landed at the. That being said, data is the new oil. That's what the former CIO said to me. That is the focus. Cybersecurity, data science, all of it. Whether or not you go into a career in engineering or whatever it is, make sure data science is part of it, some type of analytics, all of those. So once you have those type of skills, it puts you in demand, and it's greatly enhance your future career.
Okay, I think, to point to an example like Reginald being a great, person who understands technology, he's applying that every single day to water industry, water quality, the environment, and to health. And I think we looked at a list of over 200 careers in our industry. We talked about being an engineer. Not everybody gets to be an engineer or wants to be an engineer, for God's sake. But there's also like artists and planners and technologists and people who understand policy. There is an all-encompassing field related to water and environment right now. And Reginald is a great example of that and applying it every day. And so like in the water utilities in our country, in the United States, now how do you think we've viewed technology historically and innovation, and what do you think we need to do next? Like, how do we take that to a higher level with available technologies that are available today that I think I can pull up a lot of stuff on my smartphone that didn't exist 10 years ago? Like, how do we get our industry to take that forward?
That is a good question, Pam. So a lot of you guys may not know this, but our industry has always been focused on keeping the operations going, treating the water and getting it to you, treating the wastewater and making sure no one has ever been focused on data and how to make it better, more efficiency. This is the transition that's happening across the industry now, where our leaders understand the need for a digital transformation, hence why I'm here, why I'm in this title. So now, places like utilities like DEP are making the investment to really enhance their operation by, enhancing their operation by including technology, not just technology, but data technology. The data that's driving it. We want to know how we're doing. We want to understand our performance. We want to understand how to optimize it by using tools such as AI. And again, these are terms a lot of people are throwing out here, but we are actually starting to apply them across the board. And some of what I'm seeing are so wonderful. A few years ago, those things were not there. So it's these changes that are happening that's driving that.
Okay, I think you've answered all the questions already, Reggie. So we might have to ask some more. So can you look at, think about not just your job, like the digital guru that you are, but like a person in the industry who's maybe an operator, or maybe just starting on, learning some new technology, or more of a hands-on person who's a maintenance person, for example. How do you think their job in the future might be different, or any job within our industry in the future versus what we're doing now?
Well, that is something we're seeing right now. We are working with the Bureau of Labor and Relations to see how that is changing based on certain technology that we are applying. I'm going to give you an example. One of them is the Spot. You guys may not know Spot right off the board. It's a product from Boston Dynamics, the robot dog. So we are purchasing a few of them, and they're going to start doing inspection at the wastewater. Now, a lot of people are going crazy. Is the robot dog going to take my job? So it's not about taking away job, but it's more about implementing. That robot dog is going to do something different. But at the end of the day, there's always going to be a human factor in the equation to manage the work, to give it context and so forth. So these technologies are what's changing. We're applying more. A lot of our guys are going to start using tablets to record. our industry is in the 19th century when it comes to technology. Again, I'm there, so I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. So we are applying tablets. Everyone's gonna be recording their data of tablets. Everything is syncing. We're deploying telemetry out in the manhole to send us data back in terms of how, when we have flooding, when things need to be fixed. So all of that is happening right now. So again, it's data that's driving it. We wanna give the people context. They're gonna have a tablet. So a lot of people are technology adverse. Again, I'm not saying the new generation, but that's what we're dealing with. It's the, again, I don't want to be politically incorrect. It's simply that you need to be technology friendly. You need to immerse yourself in what can be done with technology and give it context.
Well, one of the things that is basically true is the younger people in this are much more technology savvy than, I'll use me for example, than I am. And it's a shame if you show up at a place of work and they hand you a clipboard because, you know, I don't think they even know what a clipboard is. And so that technology savviness that you have just from where you are in the time frame of humanity's evolution is an advantage. And when Reginald talks about these kind of newer tools that we have, it's something that I think people can adopt to relatively easily. And it's not about taking away jobs, it's about enhancing abilities. And the stuff that's happening out there is extremely exciting and cool. How cool is it? Well, Reginald could talk some more about that. So right now, it's awesome to be alive and to be young and to be thinking about a career because there actually is this thing going on called an aging workforce. You might have heard of it. You might have seen it. And that means there's a lot of people retiring. So that's happening. The other thing that's happening is we have aging infrastructure, or infrastructure that, you know, in the 1970s was new, and in the 2020s, it's not anymore. And it hasn't really kept up with the kind of technology innovations that we should be. And on top of that, we're faced with a huge diverse abilities amongst our young people in our sector. So I'm wondering if you could imagine how this change in technologies also will link to increasing diversity in our workforce and providing new opportunities to folks who are previously underrepresented in our employment sector.
That's an interesting question. Now let me see how I can answer it.
Go for it.
So a lot of you guys may or may not be aware about this silver tsunami, as a lot of people are calling it. We have a lot of retiring people, and we're losing a lot of knowledge that is inherent to the distribution of water or wastewater. And because of that, that knowledge is not, we need to capture that knowledge so that when they leave, we have a frame of reference. When a new person comes in, if that knowledge, and a lot of these instrument and companies, they're long gone. So the only person who knew how to fix them, if they retire and you did not transfer that knowledge somewhere, either a CMMS system or a different kind of system, you'll be in some trouble. So that's one of the transformation we're undergoing right now, and making sure we capture some of that knowledge into our system to ensure that we have a frame of reference. Now, the second part is how to be inclusive. That is a very hard question for the entire industry, and I gotta tell you, I'm going through that process myself right now. I have a team of about 26 people. I have 2 women working in the group. However, diversity as a whole is not the issue. It's simply, some groups are underrepresented. And talking with Pam and being more aware about the situation, I make it a point to ensure that whenever I'm doing a hiring action, I look to ensure that I attract more women, more different people in the group, rather than just because I'm more aware of the situation. So that's how I'm taking it, and I have to tell you, I see the same issue at the macro level, where DEP as a whole is becoming more cognizant to the situation, and they're making more of an effort to solve the problem. I cannot tell you about the national level, I can only tell you about what I see, and it's not an issue that's going to be solved today or tomorrow, but we're becoming more cognizant about the problem, and I'm hoping people like myself and others, will help in the solution.
So those are really good points. And I know that, and probably people have experienced this. When you're working on a team, if you have a high level of diversity of all those team members, you're getting lots of various perspectives and actually producing better products, better outcomes than you would without that. And that is the dynamics of the next generation of workers in this field that we're all really going to benefit from. And to the extent that we get more people interested in our field and share in the value of what we do, we're going to expand that level of diversity, and that's going to help all of us. Now, we've talked about this a lot, and in leadership roles throughout our industry, about how do you make the workforce look like the communities we serve. And we serve the entirety of New York City in our business, right? And so that workforce should look like the entirety of New York City. And there's lots of challenges to doing that. And one of the biggest ones is to get people interested in what we do. People don't, who has been to a wastewater treatment facility? So some people know what happens when you flush, all right? Your job is to go visit one because everybody has a responsibility to know what happens after they flush. Okay, take that away. That's my takeaway message.
I think we're out of time.
And please, Reginald, what's your final comment on that?
Yes. Actually, I think we're out of time. However, I want to say one last thing. A lot of you are coming up. One of the things I did not know about is the civil service process. I encourage a lot of you to find out a little bit more about the civil service process, because it is something you should know about. It is a pathway that leads into a career, again, based on everything we talked about here. So that's kind of my final thoughts to you guys.
Thank you. Come work for WATA.
Thank you.
That was a very, very good exit, Pam. I think for me, one of the takeaways there was to make sure that we're doing things just like this, that we're getting everyone, especially our young people, informed of what the opportunities are. So when they have those positions, that we have more people showing up because they're excited and interested in being part of the water industry, right? Good takeaway? Okay, so whether you're in the room or you're streaming, I need you to stand up, please. If you can. If you can stand up, please stand up. I need you to stretch, and we are going to take a 10-minute break. And those who are streaming will be back in about 10 minutes. Okay? Break time.
warning, 3-minute warning. Check, check. could take their seats, please? Could everyone take their seats, please? We'll be starting in just 1 minute.
Hello, everyone. Hello, how was that break? I heard the most amazing conversations. How about you? I heard young voices giving us ideas about what we ought to be doing. We're listening. That's what this is all about. I am energized by that. So thank you, and welcome back everyone here and everyone who is live streaming. We're going to move forward with our program, and we're going to start with our keynote speaker. It's Charles Shachinda. How'd I do? Okay, Technical Officer, International British Water. Please come forward.
Hello, lovely people. You doing all right? Great, great. So it's my first time in New York. For a reason, now I realize. I think I spent much more time traveling in other parts of the world because I felt like, why should I get to New York right now? Because I assumed people spoke English here. But apparently not. So I flew from England into New York on Saturday, and I think the key words that I have, the key sentences that I have said the most are, could you please speak English so that I can understand you? Or could you please enunciate your words so that I can get you? Yeah? I realize people speak American out here, so hopefully by the end of the week, I'll add American as my 7th language to my portfolio of languages, which is really good. But don't worry, I think everybody in this room speaks English, so we're okay. How about we start off with some language equality of some sense, you know? Yeah, sounds good? Great, great, great. I am Charles Shachinda, and I've got a civil engineering background, just like Rebecca. And I think it's really good to break that down for our young colleagues in the room. So what civil engineering really is it's a branch of science within engineering that's focused on designing and constructing the built environment, if you like. So within it, you've got structural engineering, you got water engineering as well, and you got highway engineering, the things you really understand. So I was more on the structural engineering side of things. That's my background. And currently, I work for British Water as international, as technical officer international. What that means is that I lead on British Water's international program, which encompasses providing technical assistance as well as leading business development engagements to a range of global regional water markets. Yeah? So, yeah, it's great to be out here. And please indulge me to add my voice to the wider conversation. But of course, it'd be remiss of me not to thank the Water Rising Institute, the amazing Alicia Douglas and her fantastic team, the Mayor of New York International Affairs Office, and as well as German House as co-hosts of this fantastic event. From the outset, it would be about right for me to say that water has had a hold of me since my childhood. And I'd imagine it will be the case for most of you in the audience or those joining us live, although you might not consciously realize it. And in my case, whether it's through the extensive leisure travels that my family and I took either to see a waterfall, a river, or a lake, and all the beautiful biodiversity that water supports, or through the often sustained water problem in my hometown of birth, Mazabuka, which is on the south side of Zambia in Africa, that often reinforced a very adverse perception around water, utility-supplied drinking water, because it was more often than not very erratic. But the more tangible career transformation or indoctrination in the water sector, if you like, began when I worked for the Zambian local government as Assistant Director of Engineering. Now, I talked about coming from a more structural engineering background. It was very revealing and inspiring to just get to understand to what great extent water remains life to practically every living thing. And when I worked on a range of water and sanitation projects, whether it's designing toilet units or whether it's water points for the communities that we served, I was constantly stunned by just how much water and sanitation were inextricably linked to the overall health and development of the communities that we served. And that to me meant something really big. Because those communities that we served, really, more often than not, I would travel extensively across the rural and urban areas, and I would hardly observe how, especially those that live in the rural areas and the peripheries of major cities, what we call slums, just how they desperately needed water and sanitation for them to get by and just survive. But even more heart-wrenching, in the worst of cases, learning about losing precious life due to waterborne diseases, but also very particular was just how children and women were disproportionately impacted and affected when water and sanitation were inadequately and inequitably provided. Now, it is very important to talk about water and understand how it relates to gender. And with that, I think it's key to mention that I believe that we need to begin to see water, sanitation, hygiene through a gender lens to be able to achieve SDG 6. There's a bit of a story there. So in my family, I went to a boarding school, and I was the only one among my siblings, and life was fantastic. Because what that meant is I had the privilege of, getting some really good supplies in terms of groceries, because I was the only one out there, so life was going great. Until then, my lovely elder sister Doris joined me, and things changed. What I realized is Doris would get 2 times my supplies, and obviously, as you think, I was there screaming, "Gender inequality, what's going on here?" Yeah? And I remember questioning my mom, my lovely mom, Michello, and I'm like, what's going on here? Why is Doris getting 2 times the groceries that I get? And I remember having conversations about only 13, 14 years old, and she told me, well, I think you need to understand how this works. Because obviously, her relationship to water and just talking about menstrual hygiene and management would be different. I didn't really understand what the supplies were, but for me it was, well, I think she's getting more, I could see 2 trunks, and that's really huge. But because we had that conversation, for me there was nothing to empathize in that situation, but everything to understand. Because gender equality and equity is tied into our biological makeup. It is a factual and natural reality that we must all come to terms with. Yeah? It is a natural reality that we must all come to terms with. And research has shown that women have a more intimate, a much closer and unique relationship with water and sanitation. Whether you look at them as, primary or prime custodians of water household level in a more traditional sense across the world, or through menstrual health and hygiene management. But the downfall, however, is that women only account for an estimated half of every 5 water workers globally, according to the United Nations, and yet they are the most impacted by water and sanitation. Let that sink in a little bit. If you have 5 people, they don't even account for 1 person, just half. There's a challenge right there. Now, obviously, I would think that in order for us to make meaningful progress to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 6, we need and we must see water, sanitation, hygiene through a gender lens. In order for us to be able to make meaningful progress and achieve equitable access to sanitation and health. Now, it's really cool to talk about the challenges, but it's even great to talk about what's been done now. At British Water, for instance, through our groundbreaking Women on Water campaign, it shines a spotlight on the progress being made towards achieving gender parity in the water sector. The aim of our Women on Water events support women in their careers and personal development by presenting them with tips, advice, and result case studies, all underpinned by a message of empowerment and progression. And to this end, British Water has made the commitment to be able to increase the number of women on non-executive board, and we have also urged the wider UK water industry to follow our lead. A key commitment or pledge that we've made is that by 2025, we need to have at least 30% of women on a non-executive board. And at the minute, we only have 2 that sit on a non-executive board of 12. So that's what we're doing. In closing, a couple of years ago, as a structural civil engineer, progress to me looked like, progress that was more tangible and real looked like assembling a team, planning a project first, assembling a team and getting your boots on the ground to execute it. And that made a whole lot of sense because you could attribute your efforts to a physical establishment and you found a lot of fulfillment out of it. But now I realize what is even more fulfilling and harder is planning a project, like the WaterWoman Project, if you like, or putting a program together on an agenda, and rather than bringing together people's skills and physical abilities, you endeavor to gather people's hearts, their perspectives, their attitudes, to be able to build a world in the water sector in which every person feels respected and accepted despite their gender, their age, their race, and their beliefs. That's the only way we could achieve it. So I'd like to mention that the centrality of water in its sense, as underpinned by SDG 6, we all need to be able to see water, sanitation, hygiene through a gender lens, to be able to achieve the overarching United Nations agenda. And my biggest hope and firm hope is really that during this conference, the global water sector will be able to open its heart enough and join forces, join voices to be able to achieve progress, to be able to make a mark and make this moment a monumental moment in history by making that commitment. So my aim to all of you is go out there, have those improper conversations with your mates and with all your environments, and that way we will be getting somewhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Another call to action. Get out there with force and voices to make it happen. Thank you so much. Now we're going to move to our second WaterWoman table. And this one is youth, young professionals, and the water career journey. Our moderator will be Victoria Johnson, Global Equity Director of HDR. Where are you, Victoria? There you are. And our panelists will be Adina Rivera, Engineer in Training in HDR, Henry Coe. Where are you, Henry? Come on. Henry is Assistant Environmental Scientist, Hazen and Sawyer. And last but not least, Angelia Fosnacht, student at Beck Middle School in Cherry Hill. Come forward. You good? Thank you.
Just doing a sound check here. Okay, good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Good. Well, thank you so much for having us, and we're really excited to talk with you about young people and the important role that you play with regards to how we continue to ensure that future generations have clean, safe, and healthy water. My name is Victoria Johnson, and I serve as a Global Equity Director with HDR Engineering. And I have three amazing young people with us today that are going to tell us about their journeys in water, what inspired them. We have two young people who are currently in the workforce, and then we also have a young lady who is one of your peers who is still in school. So we just want to talk about the role that young people, as well as women and non-binary and all people essentially play with regards to how do we really take things to the next level. So I'm going to allow each panelist to introduce themselves, and we will get into it. Adina.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Adina Rivera. I'm 26 years old. I'm from the Bronx. If anybody's from the Bronx, okay. Hey, friends. I'm a water engineer in training at HDR Incorporated. I also serve on the Young Professionals Board of the New York Water Environment Association Metropolitan Chapter as a membership and volunteer coordinator. So.
Hi, my name is Angelica Fosnacht. I'm a student at Beck Middle School.
Hi, my name is Henry Coe. I'm an assistant environmental scientist at Hazen and Sawyer, which is a company that works closely with the DEP, and I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Yes, so we clearly have some young and rising stars with us today to really talk about, again, what role do we play in this important space? Everyone did share their locations. I neglected to share mine. I'm actually from the other coast. I'm from Southern California, grew up in Orange County. So anyone been to Disneyland, the other Disneyland on the West Coast? Not Disney World, not Florida, California. So I'm sure we've all heard we are experiencing a significant drought. Has anyone heard it never rains in Southern California? Well, it's true, but it's not true. So with climate change, we actually have been getting quite a bit of water and rain, in Southern California the past month or so. So drought is certainly an issue with regards to climate change, as well as a whole host of other flooding, water quality, what we see going on in Jackson, Mississippi, Flint, and then of course our brothers and sisters globally who are experiencing some challenges as well. So we need young people like yourselves to essentially come together, multidiscipline professionals in the math, sciences, the liberal arts. We essentially need all of your spirits, your intellect, and your passion to really help us really solve this together. So I want to open it up for the panel to talk with us today about what inspired you in terms of your water journey. Adina and Henry, I know you're both working professionals, and Angelica, I think I'm saying your name correctly, is also a young person. Talk to us about what inspired you to essentially be passionate about water.
Actually, when I think about what inspired me to be an environmental engineer, I always recall one particular memory in the Dominican Republic. I was 16 years old. I was traveling with my family to El Barrio de la Yuca in Santiago de los Caballeros, which is a well-known city in the Dominican Republic. And we frequently traveled with my grandmother to this area called La Yuca because she had previously lived there, and she catered to the land and greeted the residents of the area. And she was so connected to it because, like I said, she lived there and she valued the land that once nourished our family. So again, we traveled to her former home with gallons of well water with us, and just to distribute and to water the plants. And I just remember seeing this dry, sparsely vegetated area and just seeing a concrete house, you know, earthen floors, aluminum roofing. There's an outdoor kitchen with a natural stove. And last but not least, there's an outhouse, you know, so there's no running water, there's no electricity. And the only source of water in that community at the time was derived from a broken irrigation system in the area that everyone in El Barrio used to water the plants, to clean, to bathe, and most importantly, to drink. So it was a big deal bringing the water and helping the people of that area. So when we met the current owner of where she used to live, we spoke to this woman. Her name was Eileen, and she was 55 years old. She was with her 35-year-old daughter, and they were raising 6 kids, aging from 4 to 13 years old, all still in school, and all dependent on their mother and their grandmother. And over the course of our conversation, we realized, you know, she had disclosed to us that she suffered from chronic kidney infections because she drank the contaminated, stagnant water daily. And because of that, her health fluctuated. And because of that, she couldn't find consistent work and she couldn't provide for her family. So in that moment, I just became so angry. I became so frustrated with the reality of the situation. I was frustrated that she was suffering. I was frustrated that she couldn't provide for her family. And I was frustrated that her basic needs were unmet, you know, and she had to deal with all of that. And on the other side, I didn't have to deal with any of that, you know, and it was a stark reality difference. So I knew that there was a change that needed to happen, and I wasn't sure what that change is, but I knew I wanted to fix it, and eventually it became my calling to become an environmental engineer. And to, you know, the main point that I want you guys to know and I want you guys to leave with is that as engineers, it's our fundamental purpose to provide the public with clean drinking water and proper sanitation. And I want you guys to also know that this is not just a problem that happens in Dominican Republic. This is not just a problem that happens in developing countries, but it happens in developed countries like the US as well, right? We know cities like Flint, Michigan, Houston, Texas, Jackson, Mississippi, Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, have all had to issue unsafe drinking water advisories in their communities. And it's important that we recognize that difference. We recognize that we're all in this situation together, and we have to provide for marginalized communities, especially during normal times, but also during critical times after severe weather conditions. So I hope you guys, you know, take that away and use that inspiration to guide you on your journey in the water industry as well. Thank you. Thank you.
Hear me? Check. Here we go. So well said, Adina. And I'm certainly going to let our panelists respond, but want to make a connection to right here, of course, in New York City. Hurricane Sandy happened some years back where a lot of you were younger than you are now, right? So as Adina shares her story in terms of being inspired by essentially something going on right in her backyard in terms of her family. Was that Puerto Rico you mentioned? Santiago and Dominican Republic. So essentially, think about, as we're talking today, as you become adults and as you study in school, what role can you play in some of the challenges that people have around access to clean water and some of the storms, of course, Hurricane Sandy, and we talked about Flint, Michigan, and Jackson, Mississippi. Be thinking about the role that you can play in terms of the coursework that you're taking every day in school, and sometimes you may not see the connection as you become adults. Be thinking about how you can also partner with these 3 young people in terms of being a solutions advocate in terms of helping communities. So let's hear from you.
So I went with my mom to the Dominican Republic for an Engineers Without Borders project, and I had the opportunity to see like children my age living in like a small home drinking dirty river water it was filled with like plastic bags, trash, bottles, and they were using that to cook and to drink, and it's just really sad to see that. And like I'm here like drinking a clean water, and they're over there like cooking with the dirty water, getting sick, and just living like that. So I just want to like be aware of that and like try to help out as much as I can.
Absolutely, and we need you. We need your experience. And Henry, talk to us about your what inspires you in terms of your water career and your journey so far.
Sure. So one of the first things that inspired my career was my family used to have a home in Fire Island. Fire Island was hurt really bad by Hurricane Sandy, and after Hurricane Sandy, our home was devastated, and we had to sell the property. And that was one of the really inspiring moments from my youth. And I took that moment into my college, and I got the opportunity to study abroad. I worked on a sailboat sailing through the islands of Kiribati doing research. Kiribati is a small island nation in the middle of the South Pacific, and they have tons of really deep problems related to water because the sea level is rising and it's contaminating all their freshwater supply. This leads to problems that are really deep in their society. They have no fresh water, they can't grow any crops, and their society is basically collapsing. And I had the opportunity to visit Kiribati, to see these people firsthand, and it was a really tragic and inspiring story. But at the same time, not only was it tragic, but I was visiting these beautiful island countries, and I was really inspired by the nature. And I was inspired by protecting nature, and I want to be involved in that in my career. And so that dichotomy of helping people, but also being involved in the environment was really something that pushed me to where I am right now.
Thank you, Henry. So we have about 5 minutes left, so I want to pose another question. All three of you talked about personal experiences that you've had, not only with water, but with challenges and barriers that individuals or families that you have seen firsthand have experienced. Talk to us about, and particularly Adina and Henry, about how water management or how working in water can be a calling. How can you tie the passion that you have in your personal experience to your current careers and the work that you're doing? And then if you can share with us as a young person that is still in school and going to class every day and looking through your coursework and the experience that you had with seeing kids your age not having access to healthy, clean water, how, as you think about, again, your coursework, as you think about college and your career and your mom and those, how can you essentially use that experience to really drive you in terms of how you and what you want to be when you grow up? So I'll start with you, Adina.
Sorry, we're gonna switch again. Thank you, Victoria. So just going back to your question, how did I merge my passion, my personal experience with my work currently today, right? Okay. So I would say that currently that I do a lot of initiatives within my company to do a lot of volunteer work within my community. And I think that's one thing that has given me great pleasure and great joy is giving back to my community and actually making the effort count. You know, it's one thing to do this in an everyday life and make sure that projects run smoothly and make sure that basically society is still functioning, right? But it's another thing to give back to the people that gave to you. You know, the people around you have supported you and given you the resources to be who you are today. And it's important to give back to them and show them that everything you've strived for and everything you worked for is important. And everything you do counts. So please use the opportunity to immerse yourself in the community, whether it's through a gardening program or working with local organizations, even volunteering your spare times on the weekend, right? You know, just make that effort and merge what you know best, merge your skills and merge your experience and push yourself forward to make a difference.
So, like, people my age could like help out, and like branch out and like volunteer in places to help people like all the way across the world, or like people near them. They could like volunteer in organizations, and just like find little ways to help out, like maybe like donating money, like I don't know, stuff like that.
I find that's what really drives me in my career is just the feeling of accomplishment when I finish any task, when I do something, you know, just being able to put my stamp on something, being able to say I did that, and being able to have a positive effect on communities is really what drives me. And it's just, you know, that simple.
So as these three amazing young people have shared, whether you're still in school or whether you are a young professional starting your career, we need you as we continue to really look at solutions for not only climate action, but also what we call having a just climate response that really addresses a lot of the challenges that a lot of people face who are hurting, who are in trouble, who need our help. So we want you to think about and continue to study hard and volunteer and be very aware of what's going on in your communities, because we certainly need young people and youth. You all are key in terms of us developing a stronger, healthier water future for all of us. So thank you.
Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, when I started out, I asked you to raise your hand if you thought you might want a career in the water industry and water resistance and climate change, right? Remember I asked that question? It was kind of flat. So let me ask the question again. How many of you, young people, might now kind of think about a career in the avenues you've heard today? Just raise your hand. All right. Okay, this is good. This is working. So we have one more. We have one more WaterWoman table. We're going to have one more conversation, and then we're going to move to closure. So right now, we're going to do, and this really does fill out everything you've heard, we're going to do Jobs with Purpose at the Water Energy Nexus. And this panel will discuss the vast opportunities for exploration, innovation, and collaboration across sectors while helping drive climate-positive solutions. That's what we're going to do now. So, moderator, let's have Jennifer Steffens. She is the Director, Strategy and Marketing, Suez Smart and Environmental Solutions. Join us. And our panelists will be Jane Gawani, New York City DEP Director, Office of Energy and Resource Recovery Programs. And we have Clara Latini, and she is consultant, UN, United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network Youth. Please join us.
All right. Am I on the right mic? Is this the one that works? Can you hear me? All right.
Yeah, it works.
Okay, well, good afternoon, and thank you for sticking with us. This is the third and final WaterWoman table before we let you go, or not quite let you go. We've got some activities afterwards. But my name is Jennifer Steffens, and like Diana said, I am with Suez North America, but I'm also a board member for the Water Rising Institute. So I'm very excited to be here as part of the WaterWoman Project. Right? And today we're here to discuss jobs with a purpose, right? So we've got this, 15 more minutes to get you to commit to joining the water industry. Can we do this? All right. All right, well, purposeful careers is kind of a new concept. Your parents' parents definitely would go to work just for their family, right? For their money, right? Honestly, to make a day's wage and go home again, bring home the bacon, if you will, right? But my generation is beginning to, and your generation absolutely is looking for jobs with a purpose. And so that's where we talk about the water energy nexus and how we can make changes on a global level by starting at your local level in water and energy. So I'm joined today by two fantastic water women. We've got Jane Guani and Clara Latini. Jane is a professional engineer, like myself, with over 25 years of experience working in the intersection of water and energy. As the Director of Office in Energy and Resource Recovery Programs at New York City Department of Environmental Protection, she and her group are tasked with plotting the course for the agency to achieve both carbon and energy neutrality. Busy, right? Prior to joining DEP, she developed greenhouse gas and energy reduction strategies on the municipal, regional, and national levels. Right? Clara, who's also joining us. Clara currently manages the EU Youth Strategy and the 2030 Agenda for the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network for Youth. Right? She has professional experience with OECD Secretary General's Office, the European Commission, LSE European Institute, and many other think tanks. She joins us from Europe, and so we're going to get a bit of a European Union perspective today as well. Okay. So the world is facing a number of crises, right, in respect to water. And as Victoria mentioned earlier, just this year we've heard a lot about breaking records out in the west coast of US. And the UK as well had record-breaking heat this summer. And then we also have, now we're hearing about record-breaking snow and cold, and wasn't there a blizzard right here in New York like last week, right? So obviously, right, climate change is exacerbating both water scarcity and water-related hazards like floods and droughts, right? As the rising temperatures disrupt precipitation patterns in the entire water cycle, we know that water and climate change are inextricably linked. So, with that said, I would like for each of you to give your definition of what the water energy nexus is.
Hi, everybody. So there's a lot of different pieces of it. You know, when I initially think about the water energy nexus, I think it's pretty clear that, you know, both water treatment and wastewater treatment are really energy intensive processes, right? So if we want to reduce energy, you know, we need to have much more efficient processes. But there's other things to consider too. There's also inherent energy just in kind of moving the water around. So if we're able to conserve water, right, then that's less water that needs to be pumped and treated. So we're able to reduce energy that way. And then also through green infrastructure, we're actually diverting stormwater that would normally be routed to our wastewater treatment plants and have to go through that process. And we don't need to put it through the treatment process, and we're saving energy that way. And then the last part of it is we're able to make quite a bit of renewable energy through our water infrastructure. So I would say those are the kind of the top three pieces that I think about when I think of the water energy nexus.
Hi everyone, yeah, it's working. So from my point of view, it's more from, again, development, international affairs. So I'm very happy also to be here surrounded by some women, which is also crucial topics in the field. But for me, I think more, if I have to imagine more about the nexus, I will really add more the food and agriculture component. And this can really see from both, I would say, European point of view, we really see now with the Ukraine crisis, also directly in Europe, but also more in developing countries, or really several issues related to food security. And also think about my country as well. I'm originally from Italy, and during last summer we had serious drought happening that were also making sure that the prices were rising and also contributing to inflation. So I think both the topics of water and energy are really interlinked between each other, but also towards other sectors, as I said, more food, of course, transports, urban life, and etc.
Well, water scarcity is already having an impact on, we're a mess up here. Water scarcity is already having an impact on energy production and reliability. But on the other side, diminished freshwater resources can lead to a greater reliance on energy-intensive solutions, such as pumping water further distances or treating water that's of poor quality. Jane, you mentioned a couple of examples of projects that DEP is doing. Can you give us a little more in depth on what those projects look like right here in the city?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, there's a few different things that we're doing. You know, as far as the wastewater treatment process that we have is a very energy-intensive process. So we're working very hard to make that process as lean as possible. New York City's water supply is actually like a marvel of modern engineering. It's almost completely gravity-fed, and it has the source water is practically pristine, so there's minimal treatment that needs to be on that system. So we're really focused on the wastewater treatment side. And then what I think the most exciting work that we're doing lately is really trying to think about our infrastructure, and as we go towards our carbon neutrality goals, is to think larger than the scope of just our agency, and kind of just trying to decarbonize our agency, but actually looking at ways to decarbonize the entire city. And so one of the things is we have 75 anaerobic digesters across all 14 wastewater treatment plants, and we have a lot of extra capacity in it. We use these anaerobic digesters, we take kind of the byproduct of the wastewater treatment process, and we convert it into renewable energy, and we turn it into a fertilizer. But we're actually realizing we have all this extra spare capacity that we could be taking most of the food waste that the city generates as well and convert that into renewable energy. And then also into a fertilizer. We also have an opportunity within the heat that's entrained in the wastewater. We handle over 1 billion gallons of water in our sewers each day, and it's pretty temperate water. And so as the city and the state look to decarbonize all sectors of the economy, we're going to have to electrify our heating needs, which could be really energy intensive, but if we're actually able to do the heat exchange with the sewage, which doesn't sound so appetizing, but it actually works really well, it's a really efficient way to convert our buildings, our homes, the commercial buildings all around the city to a really efficient way and really decarbonize the heating needs of the city. So we're really trying to kind of break outside of DEP's natural siloed boundaries and look for ways to leverage this unique infrastructure to help everybody achieve climate neutrality. Very good.
So New York City is breaking ground with a lot of these, and it's really exciting to hear when you flush, you are helping to fertilize the parks. So thank you all for your contributions today. Well, our junior ambassadors are here, and they've been studying various SDGs, right? So what resources, Clara, can you talk to us about that are available for them to learn more about the SDGs and get involved to be better engaged?
Yeah, sure. I have many ideas that are written down. So as you can see here, this is the name of actually my pro bono organization. I full-time, let's say, work for an international organization. As I said, I work for the World Bank as a consultant and the Commission, etc. But in the past years, I've been involved in so many initiatives, and I think this also will really help me to kind of start my career in the development, a more sustainable development sector. So one idea is actually really based here in the US. It's called Climate Reality Leaders. It's being funded by actually Al Gore, so it's very US focused. And it's been trained in 2018. We had the European workshop, but again, the majority of the workshops are based here. Usually it's twice per year, and they also organize online training. If you want to get more info, just let me know, because I also trained people directly in Europe a few years ago. Then another idea, it's Yango. Yango is the official group for the UNFCCC. So it's making sure that youth is represented in climate negotiations. And it's a very interesting pool. I'm still a member, to be honest. It's great. And it's open, I think, people up to 35, so I'm still in that range. But again, also high school students are really free to attend the COP each year. So I really suggest you to get in touch with Yango, for example, for a presentation. Another idea also I'm very happy to promote, because again, I'm from Italy, and I think I should also promote the good things coming from my own country. And it's an initiative called Youth for Climate, and it's a joint partnership with UNDP. Again, they organized official side events 2 years ago, the COP, which took place in Glasgow. So they did the Youth COP in Italy, and afterwards they helped out also setting up different initiatives at COP last year in Sharm. And there is also a call for application that's going on by the end of this month. And if you have, for example, a great idea related to sustainable development, how to tackle the SDGs, and if you're going to win, you're able to, first of all, get mentoring and training, but also to get funding. So again, I think it's a good also initiative to be aware. And again, since this is very focused on water, this event, I also want to mention the also youth group, which is called UN1FY. And they're also organizing various side events during the UN Water Week, and they're also outside of the UN building. So again, if you really want to be engaged in the water sector, you want to see also more how decision makers are working or in network, or hear more, feel free to reach out to me after this session.
Very good, very good. Well, since I didn't see any of you taking notes, I'll be sure that Clara and Christy talk to each other, and she can share some of the links to those many opportunities for youth to become involved, right? Well, our student speaker earlier, Piper Wynn, said that we can't wait around, right? We can't just wait for the government and the corporations and other companies to take action, right? We need to take action right now, and right here and right now, right? So what are some volunteering opportunities that the students can engage in locally?
I had to write these down because there's a lot. I was actually we had talked about this a little bit before, and from a volunteering standpoint, I wasn't exactly sure, but I think that there's a whole lot of educational opportunities, to learn more and to really embark on some interesting projects that, potentially the city could leverage. The first thing that comes to mind is the ACE mentoring program, and that actually is in a lot of New York City high schools, and it's where, young professionals within the architecture and the engineering world work with mentoring people interested in STEM, also interested in arts, and they create projects, they kind of select a certain area of the city, and they kind of come up with these transformational ideas, and they kind of work through the conceptual design process in order to develop these projects, and then it ends up being like a regional competition, then a national competition, and it's a really mutually beneficial relationship. I've worked with a number of people who have participated